Okay, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you. We're meeting today on the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe peoples of the Robinson-Huron Treaties area that were signed in September 1850. We honor the elders of both past and present, as well as future generations of Wissahickon, Shawniga, Métis, and the Mwata Mohawks. We express gratitude for their caring stewardship of the land we share today. At the beginning of this meeting, I urge all of us to reflect on the importance of recognizing the Indigenous lands, treaties, and people. As we think about what happened in the past, we need to focus on what changes we can make going forward to continue the reconciliation process. Our Memorandum of Understanding with the Wissahickon First Nation sets the stage for ongoing partnerships, cooperation, and learning. We are committed to furthering our understanding of the generations of Indigenous peoples with whom we share the land today. So I call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda. Okay, thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Councillor Fellner?
Thank you. I wish to declare I may have a conflict of interest, pecuniary interest related to the following matter. Council meeting agenda item 11A, Ontario Land Tribunal Appeal Minor Variance Application number A2025-0026-M Rouse, as I have an ongoing business relationship with Mr. Rouse.
Thank you. Thank you, and that comes up in closed, so you will exit the room during that portion of the. Thank you. Okay, I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular and closed session meetings of Council held on October 6th, 2025 as circulated. Could I have a mover? Councillor Finson, and seconded? Councillor. All in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive staff reports as presented on the agenda for October 20th, 2025 meeting of Council. I need a mover. Councillor Getty and Councillor Bazinski, all in favor? Thank you. So the first item is item number 5, which is a staff report on the waste management review. Most of you should have seen this, most of it previously. It's for information. It has some changes in it. Is anybody here going to speak to it? Tom or Preston? Okay, thank you, Preston. It's very comprehensive. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So the staff report basically is to introduce us to the second edition of the Waste Management Review. As you can recall, the first one was introduced to Council on August 5th of this year. The second edition has been updated quite extensively following some further insights gathered from Council discussions, public engagement, and some further staff analysis. So the first piece of that was the public information session, which was held on the 14th of this year of August, and saw over 79 community members participate. In this event, we got valuable comments, valuable insight on several of the different things being presented. Specifically, in the biggest areas of discussion were closures, bylaw enforcement, and implementation timeline. So, taking what we got there, and from the survey, Council and other staff in findings, we have redesigned and rewritten the vast majority of the report. Specifically, the scenarios and costing section saw a complete rework. So a complete alteration what was originally presented. So 5 new scenarios if we include the base case, along with all new costings for 2023, 2027, and 2033. So in conclusion, we hope that the second report here, the second waste management review, answers and addresses some of these public and council concerns. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It is very comprehensive. Does council have any questions for Preston, Forrest, or Tom? Councillor Bazinski.
Thank you. A lot of work has gone into the report. That's very valuable. However, I was shocked to find a sign at the Brooks Road transfer station that I wasn't aware of, which basically said if illegal dumping continues, we're going to close the transfer station. Number one, that's not consistent with the waste management report. Number two, I've had numerous phone calls outraged about this situation. And I was thinking that, you know, there's the carrot and there's the stick. And a number of people have said to me, well, you could never close Brooks. And quite frankly, I don't think we could. It is a vital transfer station in our system. However, to me, I'm thinking, I gave this a lot of thought, and, you know, we're having a problem with contractors dumping. Well, we're trying to encourage economic development in the township. So we don't want to discourage contractors. And if you don't let them dump in somewhere, they're going to dump it in the bush. So I had another thought about the transfer station design. Quite frankly, there should be an area where we put in household waste, as there is right now. When I was a partner in Dillon Consulting, and I actually did an audit of the District of Muskoka's waste transfer stations down in a number of different townships or secondary levels of government, like Georgian Bay Township and so on. What they had there was they had a wire cage for hazardous waste. So instead of batteries getting dumped in the lake or getting dumped in the bush and paints and so on and so forth, they put it in this wire cage. And then at one point when that cage got fairly full, they took it to an MOE approved site. I was thinking, why couldn't we do that? Muskoka does it. It makes sense, and it would keep hazardous waste out of the bush. Secondly, why couldn't we have a couple of bins for contractor waste and for waste that we don't have to drive all the way to beautiful downtown Orville to deposit? And once we have someone to supervise the site, you could take $20 or $25 for a full half-ton load of contractor waste. Contractors, I'm sure, are building it into their system right now. So anyway, long and the short of it, I'm thinking, you know, number one, you're not going to depend on enforcement because people will dump it in the bush unseen. Why not provide a service to the township residents? Because that's what we're talking about, aren't we? Service for our taxes. So when we're considering a transfer station like Brooks Road, which will be staffed and have a fence around it, why couldn't we have the standard area where we're putting household waste, but also have a wire cage similar to what they did in Muskoka for hazardous waste, and also a couple of bins for contractor waste and collect some remuneration from the contractors for dumping there. And then this could all be managed appropriately. I think that to me would be the way to go, not, well, all we have at the transfer station is household waste and people are going to dump the other into the bush or into the lake. To be honest, it makes logical sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. The purpose of today and the next few weeks is for the team on screen to hear all the comments and consider them. Councillor Adams.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, back when I was a contractor, when I quoted any job, any materials we put in with the price or what we quoted on the job. So if you're taking it, if they're taking it to Brooks Road, they're making money and they're cutting corners. So if they put it in with their job or the quotes, um, they should be honoring that. And one thing I did like about this list here, what was it? Where was it? I like the resident pass system. I really think the residents should have that because of the illegal dumping. I also think for the time being, Brooks Road being the worst site, to me, it should be put into a pilot program and have a staff member there. Like I see bylaw there, but I never see them asking the people, the residents or anything like that. I just see them watching the people. So it'd be interesting if we could put a pilot program in just to have somebody at Brooks Road, because it's the worst. A fence, I don't know, you're gonna have an awful mess in the morning. But those are the two that I think would help for now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, Councillor Getty?
And I'd like to thank the three gentlemen for the work that they've done on it. We've had extensive discussions and I know how hard they're working on it. With the amendments in this report, the only thing that concerned me was, and it may be a small thing, but it may be how we look at the numbers or how you look at the numbers, was the resident impact of closures. And 48.3% identified it as an inconvenience, and it makes it sound like only a few people care about whether there's a closure or not. I can tell you that 50-50 split, if you're not being closed, you're indifferent to it. If you are being closed, you have a different attitude to it. So it may just be the way I'm reading it, but it seems to be almost trivialized in the way it's presented. I know you guys are working on it, and I look forward to seeing what's coming forward in a few weeks, but it's how the lens that's being looked through was my concern in regards to that. But I look forward to seeing what comes in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, gentlemen.
Councillor Fellner?
Thank you, Mayor. I as well am encouraged by this revised report. I think it addressed a lot of issues out of the first one, and I'm really quite pleased to see the compaction roll-off truck, the efficiencies in moving the waste from the transfer stations to the landfill, I think are admirable. And I do have a concern with closures of what you would call the secondary sites, Bon Echo, particularly airport, Turtle, not so much maybe, but the reality is we've got 4 settlement areas in this township. 3 of them are serviced by a transfer station directly. There's Brooks for Foley, Christie for Christie, Humphrey for Humphrey. There's nothing that services Rosso directly, would be Turtle Lake.
Yeah.
So, unless you're prepared to replace Turtle Lake with something closer to Rosso, to me, that's a non-starter. My constituents over in Ward 4 are serviced primarily from Stanley House and the airport. And we heard loud and clear at the public meeting, and I've heard loud and clear in other ways that they object very strenuously to closing either one of those.
Is that Bon Echo?
No, Stanley House and airport. The ones where I was in one of the transfer stations the other day, 4 guys showed up, young guys, pretty strong looking guys, showed up in a pickup truck with a big trailer and proceeded to bail everything into the, and I mean, maybe if I was younger, I would have said something to them, but I can't run that fast anymore, so I didn't. But, the 3 transfer stations that are a problem for let's say out of township waste are the ones that are border, what I call border transfer stations, Brooks, Turtle, and Stanley, right? They're right on they're very close to the line, right? And various reasons, I think that's where you'll probably see, the most significant out of residents, non-resident dumping. The strategy maybe has to be different there, but I don't, I'm not going to agree with closing. It's not, we've heard from the residents, that's a service they want, and they're willing to, forego the most cost efficient for some convenience. Thank you.
Counselor Finson. Okay, well, we're going to hear from the other people first, please. Okay, Counselor Collins.
I guess this question's for Tom. Bon Echo. Where is the garbage coming from for Bon Echo?
Basically local residents there, and then there's the
Where's the local residents?
at Bon Echo. So that's Salmon Lake, Blue Lake Road area, Bon Echo Road. And just about a couple kilometers, there's the provincial park, which sees quite a large number of residents, along with archipelago residents in there as well. And I've heard through the grapevines that they use that Bon Echo site as well.
My second question, does Archipelago contribute any funds to
No.
Bon Echo?
No other townships contribute any funds to us for waste.
Okay, all right.
Counselor Finson.
My comment is that I thought the same thing about the 48%. That's a lot of people. That's half the people. And that, like Councillor Getty said, that they're only talking about the ones that are closing. So that's a lot of people to not want them to close. Having said that, I think something has to be done. Like, you can't continue to have half of your waste coming from somewhere else. We know it's happening. It's not hard to see. We don't have enough residents to support the garbage we have. So we have to do something. We have to close something. We have to man something. And I having read the report, I mean, I haven't thoroughly read it, but I read it again a couple of times. It's a lot of information, but having read it, we have to do something. There's like, it's on the right track. I think everybody's on the right track. It just has to be really discussed on what happens. So I do agree that 48% is a lot of people. So to say it's only 48% is not a fair statement. And I imagine it wasn't done like that on purpose. But so when it comes to closing, I think that will be one of our main challenges. It looks like lots of great ideas. I mean, we can go with lots of those ideas. Great job. I mean, it's a beautiful, really, as you say, a comprehensive report, and I like it very much. But yes, I think that's where our challenges will be, and what do you close where and who do you man where. Thank you.
Counselor Bazinski, one more comment.
In terms of the Bon Echo site, it services salmon and clear lakes in there and the surrounding area. And there has been a recent, a number of new lots have been approved in that area. So there'll be more people depositing their waste as well. But my comment really was about the future of the sites, because you're talking about 187 units in the Hall subdivision, which would definitely affect the Brooks Road station. The MZO is probably going to be picked up by garbage trucks, and they probably go straight to McDougall, I would assume. But so when you're looking at the alternatives for the stations, I think you also have to look at, okay, are there choke points in getting in? Certainly on Brooks Road on occasion in the summer, the vehicles are lined up because they, can only access whatever it is, the 4 transsters in there, or 6 transsters. So if you're going to have a lot more use, in other words, people from Bon Echo that use a Bon Echo one as well, you're going to have to look at the design of the way the station is set up. And as I say, I still recommend putting in an area for contractor waste and a hazardous waste area. And if you do that, you really need to look at the design. Similarly, I mean, when you look at Humphrey, there's choke points in there, and I don't know if you can expand it. So, you know, that's something to take into consideration too, is in the whole scheme of things, you may have to redesign these facilities to make it easy for people to get in and do their thing. Thank you.
Councillor Adams.
I'll be quick. You know, I just think before they close any sites, which are going to put a strain on the sites that are there now, they should have everything in place before any site is closed. Because it's certainly going to put a strain on stuff.
Okay, Jason's going to weigh in here.
Thank you, Your Worship. Appreciate the feedback from council, and this is the point of this report, was to generate the dialogue and get your feedback. And of course, it's a rather sizable document that will require a bit of time to analyze and take into consideration your thoughts. So as we've noted, we'll be back with another report in the coming meetings of council. I don't think it'll be the next meeting of council, so you'll have some time to filter back to us, to the team on the screen, your comments, your suggestions, beyond that of what you shared here today, of course. And we'll take that into consideration as we try to bring back some sort of a recommendation for council to consider. Of course, nothing is happening anywhere until council gives us some direction.
Councillor Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. My only question is land, which has the airport transfer station and Brooks transfer station, which has more land to work with? Airport or Brooks? Tom?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's Brooks is 5 acres there. I think,
okay.
but there's some wiggle room on airport there as well, but there's a big buffer and an airport right adjacent to it. So you got to be conscious of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I personally am very much in favor of starting slowly and bringing our constituents up to speed relatively slowly. I like the idea of identification. The sign that you commented on at Brooks Road, the threatening sign that says, if you don't behave, we'll close the site. That sign has been up at the other dumps since July. So at the Lake Association, I got an earful, but said, we mean it. And today I watched somebody dump 10 bags of leaves. And I spoke to them and I said, you're dumping your leaves right in front of the sign that says, behave. Can you read? And he got really angry at me. But it is a bit of behave or else. The thing that I think is one of the most useful exhibits in your report is on page 5 of your report, or 21 of the council package. At Christie, landfill costs about $63 per house to run it. At the airport, $305 per house, and at Bon Echo, $468 per house to have local dumping. And I think that's, when I showed it to some of my neighbors, they were in shock, just to see how much it varies depending on population density, really is what it is, and where you're located. So thank you for taking the comments today and from the people. We'll look forward to having some recommendations come back to us. Thanks very much for a lot of work. It's much appreciated and it's very thorough. And I encourage you as councillors to share this report with your constituents that are concerned, because I think once they read it, they get a big eye opener too. We move on to Treasury. I think you're going to lead off, Jason. This is the staff proposed 2026 budget.
Thank you, Worship. Members of council, as noted, this is the staff proposed and under the strong mayor's legislation. This is not the mayor's proposed budget, which initiates the actual process as outlined in the document. The intent today is to, again, just present council with here's where we are, here's what we've been working on, and here's where we've landed to bring it to council for your consideration. We're happy, of course, to answer any questions, but really, again, this is a fairly sizable document. It's being presented a little differently than it has in the past. So we encourage members of council to reach out to staff, reach out to Michelle, reach out to myself, ask us the questions over the next week or two that are burning, and we would be more than happy to respond to those. We'll also create a summary of all the questions that we receive and presented at the next meeting of council. And I think it's important to note that we've added into the schedule for November 3rd. This will be a business item or wherever Craig tells us it's going to go on the agenda. But it'll be a point where we'll present those questions that we've received and where council can then have the discussion as a whole about where are we going, what are we recommending, and then of course we'll work with the mayor to bring forward a mayor proposed budget under the legislation for the 17th of November. So with that, your worship, I'm happy to pass it over to Michelle, who can walk you through some of the more details about the budget and hear from her.
Thank you. Yes, this is the staff proposed budget. It goes in great detail through the operating, the capital, the reserves. As mentioned previously, this is a status quo budget. This is based on existing operations. There are 4 service level changes. We've given you the effect on the tax rate for those service level changes, but they are not included in this budget at this point in time. They will be brought to council on November 3rd for discussion by council, and then a decision will be made as to whether they'll be included into the mayor's budget, which will be brought back on November 17th. Again, it's fairly detailed. A lot of it is based on estimates, some of our best guesses. Some of the external levies we have no information on. We did just get information today from EMS that their levy will be going up 6.5% as opposed to the 5% that is in this draft budget right now. And I am available for questions if you'd like to ask now. If not, again, as Jason said, we would like to have questions, comments from council in writing by October 30th. We will then prepare a memorandum to be brought back to council on November 3rd that will form the basis of discussion for what's going to go forward into the mayor's budget.
Thank you very much. Just a comment to a couple of things that are different. Last year, you remember we did each piece separately. Here you have them all integrated. And I find it pretty staggering that basically 30% of our dollars are spent before we do anything at this council table to improve services. And I think that's an important message to get to your ratepayers, that we collect a lot of money, but 30% of it gets spent by somebody else. And we have absolutely no input onto the land ambulance EMS that I just got today. The OPP we know is coming in at 11%. There are other ones that are a little bit more discretionary, but they're still imposed upon us. So does anybody have any questions right now? Councillor Collins.
Yeah, this question, Michelle. So, and this was in the perrysound.com about our tax rate and everything. Yeah, it's already public. No, Perry Sound. Yeah, it's already in the public eyes right now, prior to this. But anyways, so we're looking at a total proposed tax rate increase of 7.59%. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct. That's
Okay.
including all of the service level changes.
Okay. Now, what was our total tax rate increase in 2025? I know it's 5, 6, 7 or something like that.
So 2025 was 4.927.
4.92. Okay, because I'd like to personally see our tax rate increase for 26, the same as the tax increase we had for 25. So I'd like to see at least a couple of percent shaved off. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. That's something that you should put in writing, but also suggest where we cut, because the only way to do that is to lay people off. Councillor Adams.
My question is, these increases in levies, is there an explanation comes with them, reasons why? Is it just you're 11%, you're 5%? Where do these come from?
I can't comment on all of them, but for instance, the EMS that Michelle referred to, I sit on that committee, and there's about 7 or 8 pages leading up to the budget. It actually hasn't been approved. It'll be discussed Thursday night, but I don't see any reason that it'll be rejected by the committee. On that one, the province did arbitration for the salary rates for EMS workers, and that was set by the province. So we have to do that much salary increase. I don't think we get any rationale for the OPP, do we? Nothing.
No.
It just is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I mean, OPP passed some legislation in recent weeks that caps their ability to present something like they did, say, a year ago, where I think it was 23 or 24% increase. So they've been capped at 11%. I think, are under the understanding that that is the maximum that they're allowed to ask for. It's also what they're going to be asking for. That's one of the few that we have very, very little input on. When it comes to the remainder of the legislated levies, DSAB, Belvedere, ambulance, the health unit, police, MPAC, and the police board, a number of those, the explanations, quite frankly, I would hope would come from the members of council that sit on those boards or those committees. We often get a very high level letter that says, here, you're getting a 5% increase. But the details of that are identified in their minutes, and hopefully for those that participate in any of those committees, you would have a bit of information you'd be able to share with the rest of council and staff. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Councillor Bazinski.
I asked the same question that Ted did of Michelle this morning, and I actually went back to 2023. So if you look at 2023, we had an increase of 7.12%. 2024, 6.397%. 2025, 4.927%. And then for 2026, it's proposed 7.59%. If you add those 4 years up, that's 25%, a little over 25% that our taxes would go up. It's not sustainable, guys. It really isn't. Because give it another 8 years and it'll be 100%. So whatever your taxes are, what they were in 2023, they'll be doubled. It's just a nightmare. And listen, don't get me wrong. I have the utmost respect for Michelle. She's a wizard at doing her work. I could never even come close. And most of our staff are wizards because they're trying to do the best they can to find efficiencies. But it's just not sustainable. And we're not just, we're not just talking about a lot of the people living hand to mouth in the township. We're talking about the average cottage owner as well. Eventually, it's not going to be sustainable for them. I'm not sure what we can do, and I will be looking very seriously at the proposed budget to see if I can find any efficiencies, but it's not the fault of staff. We're in a terrible situation, and I really, but we've got to do something. I don't know. Thank you.
Jason, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. To Councillor Brzezinski's point, staff have worked really hard and we appreciate the comments. Thank you. I think it's worth noting on page 95 of your package, which is page 2 of the actual report. The very first page is the township operations, and this is where we are in control of what gets presented and where we have influence over those numbers. And, the total township operations have an impact of 3.19% on the levy, which is pretty close to what the recommendation was from the Finance Committee, which was quasi endorsed by council. And then, of course, asset management levy added on to that as well. But with those two combined, we're under 5%. And then you have the external levies on page 96 or page 3 of the report, which have a net impact of 2.58%. And when you combine those, that's where we started to get into the 7%. But I did want to just acknowledge, the great work of Michelle and the rest of the senior management team and the supporting staff that make this all happen. Have been very, very diligent in bringing this in as responsibly as we can. And what we're suggesting is a 3.1%, 3.19% from the township operations. Beyond that, the 30% that I think the mayor referenced earlier, we unfortunately don't control that. And it is having a fairly sizable impact on the bottom line.
Thank you. Councillor Fellner.
Yeah, I think, it's always been sort of a bone of contention with me that, we've tried to absorb all these increases in levies at the expense of our own operations, which hasn't really bode well, really. We've got, programs that have been capital programs have been underfunded, that type of thing, and now we have big problems that we got to try to resolve. But I think we, and I've been sort of kicking this thing around for a while, and we've always been sort of service level changes is, we want to improve our service level. But I think to some of the points that I've heard today that, there comes a period of time when the world changes, and the question really should be, can we afford the level of service we're now providing? And that can be a real tough question. And I think it's one that you have to ask because it's real money. I mean, 7.5% is a lot of money on some of the tax bills. It's a lot of money on any tax bill, and it's all after tax income. So that's I think they've done a great job. I think our staff does a great job, period. I think, we've got a real tough one this year. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just to Councillor Fellner's point, Your Worship, the service level changes historically are introducing something new, a new person, a new program or something to that effect. But again, we've just handed this to you and we're well aware that we're just giving this to you and you need time to review and digest. But one of the service level changes that you'll see actually provides cost reductions in the budget because we've actually decided that a current program that we're running has not been working as efficiently as we would like it to over the last number of years. And so we've taken a stab at a revised program, which sees a fairly sizable reduction in the service. So when staff are preparing their departmental budgets, literally every penny is reviewed. And in some cases, it means, we haven't seen that a whole bunch, but in some cases, if program registration is down, and the cost to deliver the program keeps on rising, then it's time to reimagine what the program is. And you'll see that reflected in one of the service level changes in your package today.
Thank you. Councillor Getty.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I appreciate the comments that have been made around the table, and I appreciate the effort that's been made by staff to come in. And I realize that, we're receiving this budget at this time for our discussion and questions to come back and feedback and see where we end up at it. The only comment that I want to make is that, in the 3 years that I've been on council, I think the reality is that the economic impact of what's happening globally and of tariffs is having a big effect. I have residents, businesses, and contractors within my ward that I thought, quite frankly, would be almost, for lack of a better term, bulletproof, that wouldn't be impacted by what's going on economically. And the reality is that they are. And things are slowing down in this community. The ability for people to, provide for their families it's always been under stress. But I think this year, more than any time that I've been sitting on council, that is a factor. And quite frankly, that will impact the questions that I, in my discussions with staff. So I welcome the opportunity to have those discussions, but I think the reality is that those stresses are being magnified in the community now, and we have to be able to recognize that as a council sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you. I do point out that if we eliminated all of the service level changes, it would only make 0.3 of a percentage difference. So other than that, it is significantly reducing what we offer our ratepayers to reduce that 3.2% that Jason talked about that's on page 95. So it means, and that is scary for staff. So
Yep. Can I just,
Councillor Collins?
yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, no, when I said about trying to keep the tax level at 2025 rate, and that was not to eliminate any personnel at all, because in 2025 we did hire the global change, or the climate change individual. We hired another person to help Dominique and Valerie in communications. I think we hired another couple of guys in roads. So this is not to remove anyone from staff presently. But last year, council did recommend that hiring was at a cap in 2025. Yet this year, you're wanting to hire more people. And it seems like nobody's listening to council at this time. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Michelle or Jason, do you want to weigh in, or have you got some comments to work with? And we expect all of your comments that you're given today and any others as you review them to get put in writing, and then they'll get summarized so you can see what your fellow councillors have said and how staff recommends to tackle those comments. And we've added the meeting on the 3rd of November for that open discussion. Okay. Thanks, Michelle. I know it's a lot of work. And if you can wave your magic wand at the EMS meeting, I'll try to get it back down to 5, but that would mean laying off paramedics. So we move on to business, which is, I think, the 2 items in 6A and B, which are really for information only. You have a letter from the parents of Perry Sound requesting municipal support. Minister Calandra appears to be on the radio very regularly from Queen's Park saying, I'm still reviewing the report, but the parents were promised the report in 30 days. 30 days is long past. But I think it's really here for your information. And as you chat with your constituents, I think it's important to say we did have it on the agenda. It's for information only. And I don't know whether anybody has any comments on it. It's a dire situation. Councillor Finson.
It's not on the exact situation, but a lot of comments on the busing and that there's just so many problems for the Near North School Board. I worked for the school board for 26 years. I can't imagine it all just it's not getting any feedback from Near North School Board. It's just nothing. You know, people missing their buses 5 days already, 6 days already because the bus driver doesn't show up or somebody gets sick. It's unheard of. I don't know what to say. I've just seen so much and my heart's breaking. Nobody's approached me personally, but my heart is broken at the amount of difficulty everybody's having. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help. I just don't know.
I think we're all a little bit flummoxed. And Councillor Bazinski.
Well, I was over at my daughter's today and they came back from Mummy and Me. And I guess it was a PA day, so a lot of senior kids were also at Mummy and Me. But the long and the short of it is they were told that the local school bus driver for here, this area, is going to be off for 60 days. 60 days and no replacement. So what are people supposed to do? Thank you.
Councillor Fellner.
Well, my children are already accomplished high school. But what I find a little disturbing is for the amount of funding that goes into this school board from the district of West Perry Sound, when you look at the numbers and look at the numbers that we put in every year. And the only conclusion I get to is Seguin Township and West Perry Sound region in general is getting shortchanged to the extent, to some unbelievable extent, right? If it really wasn't for our financial contribution, you know, the Near North School Board wouldn't exist. And we have been, you know, literally told in the past that no, that our representative can't come and talk to us. They can't seem to build a high school, which isn't all that difficult to build. They build high schools every day, We can build a pool, but they can't build a high school, right? And we can build a pool with 5 partners, you know, that agree to disagree all the time, but we can get it done. But they can't get a school. I mean, it's crazy. The system is broken. It needs to get fixed. And that's a message for the minister.
Councillor Getty.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've had this discussion at the table before in regards to the reseparation of West Perry Sound. And at that time, I believe my memory serves me, we were going to stand down waiting to see what was happening between the ministry and the board and the provincial government. Is there any update on that? And if there isn't, should we then be with the other municipal bodies? And I'm asking the question, should we be, as opposed to sitting waiting for somebody to come back and give us an answer on that, should we not be driving the bus in regards to this? Because it's our kids that are being, our communities being affected. And I think that, you know, to sit back and wait until the Minister of Education reviews problems with the Near District School Board, and to Councillor Fellner's point, you know, that proportionately, you know, the dollar factor obviously is an issue. The issue of customer service is the bigger issue to me. And we're certainly not providing it. And I think, you know, do we have a responsibility? Is there a process for us to drive that bus or hit that ball and get that moving anyway? And I guess, Jason, I see you with your finger on the button, so I will let you answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Getty. The business of education is not something that the municipality tends to get involved in because it's governed and managed at a different level of government. What I would suggest is that before council decides we want to pass any motions or do anything, I would appreciate a couple days just to make a few phone calls and see if I can find some detailed information. As council's well aware, we work very closely with the province of Ontario and we have a number of significant initiatives underway that we need the collaboration with the provincial government. So I think as a first step, perhaps just using some of the contacts I may have, I'll make a few phone calls and see if I can get a reasonable update that I could share, not only for council, but for the community. If there is something that I can find out that perhaps others can't, I doubt it, but I'll try. And I think it's worth the try before we ask council to dig in.
Go ahead, Councillor Getty.
And I totally agree. And I don't present that for, it's not meant to be political grandstanding. It's just frustration as somebody in the community. The fact that we sit here honestly is irrelevant. But we do have a responsibility. So that's why I asked that question. I'm not looking to launch something off or fire off a missile, but can we explore what we can do to try to improve? And I listen, I had enough problems doing my own homework, let alone trying to, run any kind of an education system. But I think that, I just want to see what we can do. I think we have a responsibility, and I appreciate if you can reach out. Thanks.
Thank you. Calandra this morning said he'd have the report by the end of the year, but in the end of the year, here comes these 60 days without buses in between now and then. And our constituents are suffering. And I think, so let's let Jason do some investigation. Our member of parliament, I know, is anxiously awaiting this same report we're waiting for, and it's way past the 30 days he was promised it. So anyways, we have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive the Office of the Integrity Commissioner's Annual Report dated July 2024 to July 2025 as attached as Schedule A to this resolution. And does anybody have any questions? So could I have a mover to accept it? Councillor Finson and Terry Fellner, all in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-082, being a bylaw to authorize the acceptance of title of part of Lot 33, Concession 9, Geographic Township of Humphrey, now Township of Seguin, District of Parry Sound, more particularly described as Part 2, Plan 42R-12513, PIN 52192-0553 LT, and to dedicate and to assume the said portion of public highway, known as a portion of Clear Lake Road, into the Township of Seguin Municipal Road System for year-round maintenance is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. I need a mover. Okay, Councillor Finson and Terry Fellner. Does anybody want to speak to this, Jason or Tom? Oh, Michelle's going to do it. Okay. Back to you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a little tiny triangle of land right in the middle of Clear Lake Road that has somehow ended up in the name of one of our ratepayers, and they have offered to sign it over to us to include into the road network.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. We are on to council reports.
What about the Office of the Integrity?
We just passed the resolution.
We did? How did we? Oh, we accepted the report, okay. Okay, so it's not going because we paid her $5,600 a year, right? So that's
Yeah, but it's dependent on how many times you call
Yeah.
her, but that way you just accepted her report.
Okay.
I had a Rosso Memorial Hall fundraising meeting on October the 7th, October the 8th, planning a hunter's dinner coming up in November. And we've had a few meetings about that, and I'm busy trying to get all the pieces together for that date. We had quite a few Pumpkin Fest meetings before Pumpkin Fest, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful, even though it rained, it was a gorgeous day. Everybody had such a good time. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed it very much. There was a wrap-up meeting on the 14th. They've done very well, so there'll be a formal report at the rec committee meeting. We're having another meeting this week. Also, I'm planning the Remembrance Day service for Rosso. I'm going to plan it with the United Church minister from Windermere. She's going to come and help me. So I'm planning that for the 9th, I think, Sunday the 9th at 10:30 in the morning. Anyway, lots of, not lots, but consistent letters about the docks and Highway 632. And I've been keeping in touch just with Graydon's office, just because we've been in contact. So I haven't called anybody except Jimmy, and he's on it. So other than that, and there's just those kind of things that are happening. And the bus situation is really hurting my heart. I just can't even imagine being told you don't get a bus for 60 days. And it's like, I just can't even imagine that happening. So I don't know. I would like to do something for sure on that front. If anything happens, I would like to be a part of it. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councillor Collins.
Well, to be quite honest, for the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty quiet. So I've been just taking phone calls as usual. And so, yeah, everything's good in my ward anyways. This ward, that is.
Councillor Fell.
Boy, that's a hard one to follow. I had a meeting of the pool, the Tamarack North Center, since our last council meeting. Things are going along really well. The contractor's right on schedule. We're sort of anticipating the arrival of the pool, I guess, just within the next week or two. If you drive by, you'll see that there's a big hole in the front wall. And the reason why it's there, that's where the pool's got to go in. The hole's dug and the concrete's poured at the bottom and all the plumbing's in. It's all ready for it. So it comes in panels and then they assemble it. So it's very exciting. I mean, it's very exciting. The building's going to be, I think they're looking at paving the parking lot this month. So it's so far, have not really touched the contingency too much. It's on budget, on schedule. The fundraising is a direct result of the very hard work of the fundraising committee, anchored by our mayor, is doing extremely well, and on a roll, and continues to be some really exciting things coming down the pipe with that. So not too worried about things there. Really, it's getting close. It's getting exciting. So we have the property in our name now. We have the old Y site in our name. It's ours to do with what we want, and we will dispose of it. So we've got our operator. They're ordering material and things and supplies and equipment we need. And many thanks to our CAO, who spent countless hours on this, and to the CAOs of the other townships, particularly McDougall, Town of Perry Sound. My thanks. So as well, I had a rec committee meeting, and as we had one new event that was very, very successful. It was a walk on Rose Point Trail. It attracted a lot of people, and it was arranged by Donald Sanderson, and the event went very, very well. So we're coming into a busy time of the year with Halloween and then Christmas. So there's lots of events going on. I just want to put a plug in for the 3rd annual turkey dinner in the biggest ward of Seguin Township, Ward 5 in Orville. It's going down on the 6th of December this year, which is a Saturday.
Okay.
Home deliveries again.
Where are we gonna
It's-
get our pies this year?
That well, Theodore, if you'd like to come to a meeting, maybe you could solve that for us. So we're just, it's, so again, anyone who's interested in volunteering, Councillor Vincent is the holder of the list. Anyone who wants to contribute financially to it, it's our CFO, Mrs. Fraser, that holds the purse strings, and looking forward to another very successful event. That's all I have to say today.
Councillor Getty.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a library board meeting last week. I also attended Pumpkin Fest. I'd like to applaud Councillor Finson and the Pumpkin Fest committee. I thought they did a great job. There was hundreds of kids there when I was there. We were having a blast, and that's what it's all about. So hats off to everybody that was involved, and it was a great success. I've also, it's been a little quiet since I got back. A few phone calls and emails that I've been dealing with. Thank you.
Councillor Bazinski.
On October the 8th, I attended an ICECAP meeting, and as did a number of Seguin staff. We discussed funding opportunities, so they will have that information and probably follow up if there are any opportunities for Seguin Township. The draft 2026 work plan was also discussed, and Forrest is very up to date on it, as are some of the other staff. The only other thing was I had to handle numerous calls about the sign at Brooks Road and numerous angry calls. And it would have been appreciated to have been informed by somebody that the sign went up. I wasn't, so I was kind of blindsided on it. However, other than that, that was my 2 weeks between council meetings. Thank you.
Councillor Adams, Ward 1.
October the 6th, I was unable to attend the council meeting for medical reasons, so my report goes back to September. So, September the 17th, I attended the Recreation and Culture Committee. September the 18th, I had a meeting with Dave Nelson and Tom McLeod regarding Horseshoe Lake Road condition and future plans. September the 20th, I cooked burgers and dogs for the trail walk put on by Donald Sanderson. September the 26th, I attended the downtown Orville municipal meeting hosted by Seguin Township. October the 2nd, I attended the mayor's lunch in Seguin Valley. Great turnout, excellent meal put on by Garo Burrows and her staff. October the 8th, I had a meeting with Jason, something I like to do once in a while. And I've got something I'd like to step down from the Chamber of Commerce Committee. And I'd like to know.
Okay. Thank you. I'll ask the clerk what the process is for that. Actually, Jason and I had chatted a little bit too, going forward after the next election. The business committee would like more visibility at the chamber, and we've actually done a couple joint events with the Chamber of Commerce. So if you tell us the process for Councillor Adams to step down, I think Ted and I could get somebody from the business committee to sit as the chamber rep until the next council takes over. So what's the process?
I just say it always reflects on the council meetings.
Same day?
Same day. You don't get a chance to vote. You're just an advisor, so you're not really doing anything. So for the amount we give them, I don't think it's feasible to be there. I don't know. Sorry, Craig. Your turn.
So it's fairly straightforward. You would just put in a letter of resignation to the chamber and copy our council. And then council would decide what they want to do from there.
Thank you. I think between Ted and I, we could find somebody on the business committee that would do it. I'm just checking with both Craig and Jason. There's no rule that the representative has to be an elected member, council member, does it? Just has to be someone who will report back to council.
We would have to check with the terms of reference from the chamber
Okay.
before, once we get the resignation letter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on October 9th, we had a business committee meeting and we debriefed from the mayor's lunch, which we felt was a big success from an attendance and a networking point of view. We need to work a little harder on finding more appropriate or better speakers, I think. But then the 11th was the Pumpkin Festival. The fellows that manned the road, the stop sign and go slow with their official signs from Fowler Construction that they get borrowed every year so they can stand in the middle of the highway and stop cars, even though they have no jurisdiction to do so. They counted over 4,000 cars that went through and stopped. So if you say there's 2 or 3 people per car, over 10,000 people came to the Pumpkin Festival. And so by little people, very little people painting the and they ran out of their 1,200 cupcakes that they were decorating. So there were a lot of kids there and they had fun. Miguel and I manned the fish pond and we need a technical fix because half the fish sink, but the fish hook floats. So we need an adjustment. And then we had an airport commission meeting on the 14th. Those meetings have moved to here just because it's bigger facility than the board. We also had a mock emergency planning that afternoon. Then last Thursday, I was invited to open the Regional Tourism Summit, which included people from as far south as Newmarket and as far north as Thunder Bay. And it was held in Seguin at the KOA campground. And many of the attendees actually camped overnight. The KOA closed the day after Thanksgiving, but kept it open for this meeting. And it was very well attended, and even the Minister of Tourism camped overnight. So, and it was mighty chilly at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then that night we had a special pool fundraising meeting, and there will be some news coming out about a little bit of a strategy going forward. I hope with a matching grant like we were successful with last year. More news on that to come. And that's my report. Your turn.
Thank you, Worship. Just wanted to thank the 300 plus residents who participated in the online and telephone surveys to help inform the township's Park, Recreation, and Culture Master Plan. This plan will inform the future of our parks, boat launches, rec programming, and much, much more. Project Leads will soon begin the youth engagement portion of the initiative in cooperation with township staff. So please stay tuned for further details. As everyone's aware, the township is offering year-round ice in 2026 as a pilot program. Groups and individuals interested in booking the Humphrey Arena ice between March 30th and June 28th, 2026 are encouraged to submit their preferred dates and times through the form posted at seguin.ca/ice. And as some of you have noted, there are several community events coming up in the township. The Seguin Recreation and Culture Committee is hosting a Halloween dance on October 25th, as well as the always popular Halloween Howl event on October 31st. Details are available on the township's social media and website.
Trunk and treat.
The trunk and treat, yep. An old-fashioned hunter's dinner is being held November 5th in support of the Rossa Memorial Hall project. Again, watch social media and website for details. And the as noted earlier, the annual Seguin Township Turkey Dinner has been scheduled for December 6th at the Orville Community Center. This is a free event open to all in our community. Please stay tuned for details, including how to get involved. That's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you. And it is going to be busy from here through Christmas. I did the list of events with some help from staff and volunteers and submitted it to the Otter Lake Ratepayers Association autumn newsletter, and it went on and on and on and on with the number of things that you can do between now and Christmas. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive the board and committee minutes and agendas and the correspondence as it is presented on the agenda for the October 20th, 2025 meeting of council. I need a mover. Adams. All in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby proceed to a closed meeting at 3:40 p.m. in order to address matters pertaining to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals. One is the Ontario Land Tribunal appeal, and the other is the Town of Carling Integrity Commissioner report. Could I have a mover, Mario? And Ken? All in favor? Okay, so I have are we out? I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby rise from the closed session and declare the regular meeting reconvened at 4:43 p.m. Could I have a mover? Ted and Terry Fellner, all in favor? And I have a motion that bylaw number 2025-083, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of meetings of council, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Mario and Ken. All in favor? And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this meeting of council at 4:44 p.m. to meet again on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, or at the call of the mayor. Ken? Ted? All in favor? So just a reminder, this council meeting on November 3rd is an addition to your original calendar, because this will be when we can see all the comments on the budget and openly discuss it. So
Ju-
just
just
put
a-
it on your calendar.
Just a point of clarity. November the 3rd is a regularly scheduled council meeting. It's not a new council meeting. It's not a special meeting of council. It's just in the budget schedule, we didn't account for a
Yeah.
November 3rd debate or discussion. We've added that in so that council can have an opportunity to discuss their position.
Is there a budget?
No.
N-
it's a-
No, there'll be other stuff, but the big open discussion will be budget related.